After being in Canada for nearly a month now, we have explored so many parts of the Atlantic provinces and have loved every second of it. And while exploring, we had something exciting happening in the background. We were actively looking at potential properties to invest in for our future. Ideally, we are looking for a large piece of land, hopefully with about 2 acres to work with, a long driveway, away from major roads, lots of tree coverage, and ample space to expand off of the main house and build up a garden, a guest area, and so much more. Not too close to neighbors, but not too far from a town with grocery, medical, and hardware store options. Luckily for us, these areas have very affordable fixer-uppers and empty lots under $100K CAD. Let's see what we can find. In our Prince Edward Island video, we managed to visit and do so many notable things. But before departing off the island, we took a look at one property, which is what really and fully set the beginning of our search off. This was a very interesting house, built in 1925 and currently sitting on 1.5 acres of land. It had 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, no heating or cooling, and was most likely used as a summer house at one point. The house was moved to this land 15 years ago, so the foundation probably needed a little work. We also noticed upon going inside that it unfortunately has some squatters recently, living inside since the listing was posted. The house gave us both a bad feeling, and we weren't fond of the neighborhood it was in either, so it was going to be a definite no for us. This was the only house we found in PEI that had some potential for what we wanted, so we headed over to Nova Scotia for a lot more options. The first house we looked at was pretty big. Built in 1891, it had 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The house itself was 1,842 square feet and it stood on half an acre of land. It had 3 floors, no heating, no cooling, and was a bit too close to the main road for us. Not to mention the road was quite busy, so this house wasn't what we were looking for. In between looking at houses, we made sure to stop at different destinations to really take in as much of the beauty here in Nova Scotia as we could. In last week's video, we traveled through the south of Nova Scotia. This time, we will be heading all over the northern parts, which I hear are quite scenic. The next house was quite beautiful on the listing, but sometimes things are different in person, and that is exactly what happened here. The house had a lot of potential, similar to the last with 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, 1,700 square feet, and on half an acre of land. This house would be a huge project. It offered baseboard heating, a septic tank, drilled well, and was in a pretty busy area. There's no tree coverage, so we would be super exposed. And we are hoping to be a bit further away from neighbors than this. We also got scared because the back door to the basement was open, which means any kind of rodents and animals could have created a den inside. So it was a no, simply because it would cost too much to bring the bones of such a large house back to life. The next property was quite interesting as well. A small cabin with 1 bedroom and an outhouse, 468 square feet, and on 1.4 acres of land. It was built in 1981 and had potential, but it just wasn't the style we were looking for. Searching for properties to purchase can certainly be a tedious task. Whether the decision is to purchase an already built house to renovate or land to build a house from scratch, these all need to be carefully thought out. It is not just about the house, but it is also about the neighborhood you choose, the people who already reside there, and how much access you have to everyday needs, like groceries, repair shops, and medical attention. Luckily, when it comes to healthcare, today's sponsor ZocDoc has our back. With ZocDoc, you can search for quality care, in-network doctors, to easily find the right one for you. Not only is it free, but you don't have to go through the hassle of waiting on a long phone call to schedule an appointment. You can see the doctor's actual appointment openings, choose a time that works for you, and click to instantly book a visit. I was recently able to get new glasses using ZocDoc, and the process was completely stress-free. I was able to book an appointment quickly, and it was confirmed within 24 hours. Booking my appointment was super quick with only a few steps included, and I could even add my appointment time to my calendar to keep up with it. Not only can you find eye care, but you can find doctors ranging from primary care to dental health and so much more. So if you need an easy way to schedule appointments, try ZocDoc by scanning the QR code or by visiting the link in the description box. Thank you to ZocDoc for sponsoring today's video. This house was pretty much an immediate no the second we pulled up. The listing made it look a bit different than how it looked in person. The house stands on a little over half an acre of land and is very exposed to the road. The most appealing aspects for us was its brand new septic tank, updated electrical, and new wiring. But the back door being open could once again lead to animals creating a den inside, and the layout of the land just wasn't for us. This next house felt like we were getting closer to our vision. A little blue house that sat on the hill of a 1-acre piece of land and featured a small creek with a bridge to access it. So essentially a small castle with a moat. It has an outhouse behind the property and some of the foundation needs work. The thing that turned us off was how the land was structured. It could be a bit more challenging to get over the stream when it comes to expanding more of the accessible land, making repairs to the house itself. The house is sitting on cinder blocks and the ground was quite soft. But it could be doable and definitely something we'll be keeping in the back of our minds. This house is probably our favorite by far. Sitting in its own private area on 2 acres of land, this little green cottage was an absolute dream to visit. It has baseboard heating and a wood stove, an electric range, a septic tank, a water well, and electricity connected and ready to go. Our main critique of the house was that it has 2 ATV motor vehicle trails going through and around it, so it seems that the locals pass through a lot. Closing it off wouldn't be a problem, but we don't love that people would come up to the property that frequently. The house also sits on a shared road, so we would have to get our mail from the post office itself and take our trash to the very front of the road. An older couple are selling the property because they can no longer keep up with it. Not only that, but they are selling all the furniture with it. Walking around inside felt like walking through a museum. So many antiques and walls filled with history. The house is among trees, and we would have a good amount of privacy. The basement would need a little work, but not necessary. The house was primarily used as a summer home, so although it has heating, it would still need to be winterized. An updated electric panel would need to be inserted, and some cosmetic updates to the interior floors and walls, something we are fine with. After this house, we had high hopes for finding something within our budget and with the style we want. We are still trying to decide if it would be smarter to buy land or renovate an already built house. But that's why this search is so important, to weigh our options and see what's best for us. We took a break for a few days and traveled up to Cape Breton, one of the most scenic parts of Nova Scotia. After the most perfect few days in the mountains, we continued our search for houses. We saw a lot more houses than what we show here, but many of them were inaccessible or were too off of what we were looking for. This house was on a good piece of land, but the proximity to the neighbors was not ideal. It stood on a 3-acre lot and was a bit more rundown than we had hoped, especially for the price. But it came with some friendly chickens and ducks as neighbors. The final house of our search started off strong. We pulled into this beautiful piece of land standing on 1 acre, and it was pretty much the exact layout we had been searching for. A long driveway where the house is hidden from the quiet road, lots of tree coverage, and land for the tiny house and a garden. And while the main house on this lot was bigger than what we were looking for, we would have compromised because of the beautiful area that offers solitude and peace. However, once we started to look at the structure of the house, we pretty much knew immediately that the house would require a job bigger than we could have imagined.
Crack. There's a crack right there. And you can see the crack.
Yeah, I see that.
Like this, and the wall. Basically, the way it's built, it's 4 feet of concrete like that, and 4 feet of wood. That's the basement. Okay. Now it's actually like the foundation is caving in like this, and the wood is caving in, so it's kinking like that. So to me, eventually it'll. Yes.
Once we stepped inside, we knew that the house most likely had mold buildup, and the foundation was not even. The house offered baseboard heating, a questionable well and sewage, and access to connect electricity but no electrical panel in sight, which is fine. Living off-grid is still on the table for us, but off-grid in this large of a house would just not be feasible. None of these features were currently working, and it would be a big job to update them and the house itself. Not only that, but there is a really terrifying part coming up that basically told us absolutely no way to this property.
And you can make your own assumptions or make your own judgment. There was actually more water than that before. It became 40 foot higher than that.
Wow.
Wow.
And do you see the foundation, what I mean? How it's caving in?
Yes, I see
And
how it's
the
caving
floor-
in.
So that, and there's quite a bit of deterioration. It wasn't as bad. You see the upper part, the wood is all like this,
Going in
and the
that,
foundation
yeah.
like this. So eventually, if nothing's done, you know what's gonna happen. It's gonna cave in.
After seeing that basement, we couldn't believe the house was even being listed for the price it was at. The owner actually listed it for way more and refused offers. Unfortunately, it seems the house will eventually cave in and be completely destroyed if it's not cared for soon. But this would not be our future problem. Although it may seem like our first property search ended on a not so good note, we still viewed so many properties that are high on our list. Not only that, but we now have a better idea of prices, the type of land we want, and the style of house we are looking for. Perhaps soon enough, you'll see us moving into one of these properties or even a completely different one. We still have a lot of areas we want to see before making that huge decision, whether in Canada, the States, or somewhere else entirely. We have so much more to share coming soon. But until then, thank you for being here. We'll see you soon.
Why are you honking, bro? There's bears.
I got it.